Welcome class to week 2, and I want to clarify several things that have been confusing students, and then just to talk a little bit about the subject matter that we have. I kind of made myself a little outline of things that I think were important that I wanted to not forget to talk about. So if you look at the syllabus that I have posted, I have some assignments. Well, let me just back up. Every week, the best thing for you to do is look at your module in terms of what you're supposed to do, reading and viewing and assignments. That syllabus is generally right, but there are some things that I need to kind of clean up and have corrections. When I had the textbook in the past used to be able to come with my history lab, and I was able to have certain documents and other videos for you to watch using that, and the textbook no longer uses made those available. So basically now when it comes to reading and viewing section, I've erased the added material, and you just have to read the chapters. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps with that and clearing that up. Let's see here. The other thing that I want to mention is that my lectures are pre-made. I would love to be able to make these lectures every semester, to redo them, polish them up, and add more to them. As I've kind of mentioned before, I don't have that time. They take a lot of time, and it's unfortunate that I have to consider that, but until the schools start offering us some more pay for something like that, because that literally is the bulk of my time. I'm making lectures takes hours, and they don't pay for that, and it's frustrating that I have to consider that as a professor when I'd like to just kind of upgrade things. In any case, the information is all basically fine. I have a few glitches where I refer to pages that are in the textbook, but those were from the 4th edition. And those, if I say, look up this page, you're not going to find it. But if you listen to the lectures and then you read the text itself, you'll see what I'm referring to. It's like when I say referring to the Hittites. There's a section in the textbook that says, hey, we're talking about the Hittites. So it'll be, it should be a little bit more obvious. Let's see. And what else did I want to talk about? Okay. Oh yeah, don't forget that the notes are due this Thursday. I let you guys this week wait until Sunday to try to help you get extra time to figure this out. But the notes have to be turned in every Thursday night with the discussions, and you need to make sure you don't forget to respond to 2 other classmates. Okay, so that's important in terms of how to do the assignments. Then I just want to quickly talk a little bit about modern Assyrians and Chaldeans, really briefly. There's going to be several things that I'm going over that are all related to the material. I listened to all my lectures again today, and I just kind of want to clarify some things. So I talked about that video I showed from that Chaldean American rapper Tim's. For those of you who didn't watch it, and some of you didn't for various sets of reasons, which I said I would respect, the point was to emphasize him showing that this place that is seen just as a place of war actually is the birthplace of civilization, and he's linking all that. Now, he identifies as Chaldean. Many in our community, in the community of the Central Valley, identify as Assyrian, some as Chaldean, some as Assyrian Chaldean. And so there's just really quick, I'm going to say a few quick things, and if anybody's interested on this topic, let me know. I did do some work on this throughout my college life on Assyrian identity. Ancient Assyria, the study of it is done by people who are often call themselves Assyriologists. And many people who write and have written on ancient Assyria don't even know, this is crazy, that people still exist identifying themselves as Assyrian. That is a very complex history that owes itself a lot of discussions in its own right. And the issue is that basically you had Christian minorities, Aramaic-speaking minorities within the Islamic world that we don't start seeing until later on people identifying their ethnicity as much as they did in the past their religion. In the Ottoman Empire, and I don't want to get too complicated, the bottom line is this is a complex history that's interesting. And within Iraq now, there have been many Chaldeans who say they want to identify with being actually ethnically Chaldean, some even saying that they're actually Arab, and Assyrians saying, no, we are all the same people, we're all Assyrian. And so there's a kind of debate about that identity and going on itself within modern Iraq and outside of Iraq now. You could kind of argue that there's some similar issues about fluctuations of identity and debates that Scotland had over the centuries of the Highlanders, the Gaelic-speaking Highlanders, and the Scots-speaking Lowlanders. That again is something I might talk about later in when we go over European history. I think I'm going to lose a lot of you, but I have also a lot of Assyrian students that might find this topic more interesting. And some of you that have a lot of friends that are interested in this topic. Okay, so in any case, I'm just kind of throwing out this idea about the topic of Assyrian identity and Chaldean identity now. And I'm going to leave it there, unless you want to talk to me further about it. I also mentioned in my lectures that I will do some multiple choice exams. I'm no longer do that right now. So you will just be doing writing for this semester. Basically, the first week and this week is pretty much what things are going to look like for the most part. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then one of the last things that I want to address again is the issue, the way in which I approach ancient Israel and the Bible. This gets discussed in this chapter, and how this is going to be a problem for some of my more religious students. And there are several things that I want to address on this. One, and I say this in some of the lectures, but I just want to reiterate this really clear before you even start. I have grown up in a very religious environment myself. My art, my books, my life has revolved around a lot of these topics. And I am not fluent in Greek and Hebrew, but I've studied somewhat, and I have a handle on certain words and some of the vocabulary. And I've also studied a good amount of Arabic. But Arabic is, while there's many Christian Arabs, it's a related language to Hebrew and Aramaic. It's not directly something that advances the idea of biblical studies. I don't know why I mentioned that. Okay, the point is I wanted to say that this has been an important topic to me. And I'm aware, as I studied a lot of these things, how that challenged me when I was first studying these topics. And I use the term fundamentalist. I mentioned in there that some of a fundamentalist background may have an issue with this. That can sometimes be used as a pejorative term or like insulting. So I hope that it didn't come off sounding that way. I'm trying to say that people who believe in the fundamentals, that's what I mean when I use the word fundamentalist. That's the root foundation is people who are very strong Bible believers, and that's the core idea of their faith. And they believe that to be literal. Yes, this section will be a challenge to that. There's no way to get around it. What I'm trying to tell you really quick here is, as I stated, I've talked about evolution, and now I'm talking about historians looking at the Bible differently than a person of faith. And I've told you, you don't have to believe any of this. What I'm fundamentally trying to expose you to is when we're learning history, it's not just the history itself, but it's the way that history is being interpreted. You're learning about the discussion. I promise you that every educated Christian minister and Jewish rabbi has been exposed to this information. This is something that they're all aware of, and they all approach in different ways. Okay, so I just really want to make that extremely clear, so that what you're realizing is you're simply being exposed to information that is common knowledge, but not necessarily, at least within scholarly circles and the theological realm. And so you need to be aware of that and the way that the difference of the approach to being religious. Okay, for those of you who did not grow up religious in the Christian or Jewish tradition, this discussion might seem a little odd, or you might not be fully aware of the impact that this has for somebody of that faith. So I just kind of wanted to really extra address this, and I want to ask those of you who are feeling uncomfortable with this to hang in there with me and stay with me. Sometimes people drop when they get a subject that they're just kind of, but this whole class is covering the history of the ideas that historians have about the development of Western civilization, and that is a really important thing for all of us to know. And Christian history in all of its various forms will be a topic of this, because that is so fundamentally integrated into Western civilization as well. And it won't always be in a controversial way. It's just that there's just sometimes, when you get on any important topic, things get sensitive. I just talked about the complexity of Scottish identity. I've hung out with some Scottish people. And my last name is Scottish, by the way. My last name, I'm part Scottish on both sides. That's a sensitive topic, actually. So if you're not Scottish, talking about the ways in which Highlanders and Lowlanders have thought about themselves, and how far back the kilt goes and what the meaning of the patterns are, and like the importance of that or not, or the invention of Scottish identity or not. Well, that gets really sensitive to a Scottish nationalist. You're outside that circle, it's not as sensitive. Same thing about Assyrian identity or anything else like that. So, I hope I didn't go on about this too much. I thought it was important to bring up. And then, okay, so that's the last I'm going to say, that I'm going to mention. It's Martin Luther Day. It's very important. I just want to mention that he was assassinated, to giving a lecture, or a speech, at a rally for janitors, for union. He had a very diverse political legacy, and he became very critical of even the U.S. Foreign policy in Vietnam, and I just think that when it comes to our political figures, whether it's George Washington or Martin Luther King Jr., it's easy for everybody to kind of just take them for granted and not really look into studying about them. And I'm not going to have time to go into the discussion about this important American figure, but needless to say, I just want to always encourage you to kind of go beyond just the TV commercial or the I would like you to always kind of think about like looking into all important historical figures and kind of digging up information that maybe you didn't always have. Some of it will be more controversial, and again, some of it will even make you more into them. So that's all I have to say on that. I wish you all peace and blessings, and we'll be in touch as needed. Make sure you always get a hold of me if you can. I will be working from home Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Sunday again next week. Those are the best days to get a hold of me. But okay, I'm done with that. Talk later.